Hello guys, today we are going to be playing Kerbal Space Program Real Solar System. This is KSRSS, where it is a Kerbal size, well it's 2.7 times bigger than the regular Kerbal Solar System, but it's much smaller than Real Solar System, which is full-size planets. What we are currently doing is we are launching our Saturn V remake to the moon. I'm actually quite proud of this. I have not really remade any rockets. I've taken inspiration, but nothing like this, so I'm quite proud of myself. We've got, as you can see, volumetric clouds installed, and I am currently getting into orbit. I've got a bunch of mods installed, like Smurf, to make it easier to get to the moon, which we are going to be landing on today, and we are going to orbit. So what I'm currently doing is I'm getting myself up to a good height, and then I'm going to burn prograde just to get into a good orbit, so then I can do my trajectory burn to the moon, called the TLI, Translunar Injection Burn. Currently I'm going to a window, and I am separating from the main stage, so then I can dock to the Lunar Excursion module, which will be landing Jeb onto the moon. We have 3 Kerbals on this mission: Jebediah, Bill, and Lenball Kerman, which is some weird name. I tried doing something like this in career mode, but that didn't really go so well as I have Smurf installed, and when you start off in career mode you have to do you have to start off with a small like flea rocket using the flea rocket solid booster. You don't even have any separators yet, I don't think. The crew cabin, goo, and then we've got the one last thing, which is the parachute. But because Smurf increases everything by 1.5%, well, it's a multiplier by 1.5% to add the thrust to the rocket. So this will get it so we can, well, it makes it easier pretty much. But when you do it on a rocket small like that, it will get you stuck into a freefall burn. Well, freefall. So you can't really slow down. I tried that with a second flea booster, and that didn't really work, because when I did try, what happened was it flipped over and killed Jebediah in a Mach 2 collision with the surface. That happened 3 times before I just gave up and decided to go back to sandbox. It's the same with science and career. Like, it's different in exploration mode in Kerbal Space Program 2, when you actually have access to a liquid fuel booster, but you don't have that in Kerbal Space Program 1. So you're stuck with this. I guess I could uninstall Smurf and reinstall it later on, but like, I can't really be arsed. Yeah, so currently we are changing our trajectory to get a better intersect with the moon, and we should be there relatively soon. First we are going to descend into a orbit close to the surface on one side, and we're going to slow down to get it on the other side, just to make sure we have everything sorted out perfect as this is. I've gotten more than enough fuel I think I need for this mission. Like, as you can see, I'm just creating a maneuver just to make sure I'm as precise as possible. And yeah, I've got this other good mod installed called Free IVA, which adds, well, IVA, and it's pretty good. Which, when I'm done with this burn, you'll be able to see what that looks like. Where I put Jeb into the landing module using, well, free IVA. As you can see, I'm going to go to view where Jeb is, internal view. I'm going to unbuckle from my seat. I'm going to look around for the docking port, which you can see is there. I open the hatch and I don't close it behind me, so I don't know what happens with that. It's a little bit difficult to get through, but I do eventually do it. It would be much easier if I just did like a crew transfer, but yeah. I've also got a couple interstellar mods installed, like Real Exoplanets, which adds real exoplanets like the Centauri system, and it calls it the, Centauri system or whatever, which I do find is quite stupid. Well, it's not stupid, it's just a silly mistake. So, yeah. I've also got KSRSS installed, which is a black hole mod based around Interstellar, I think, as it adds a wormhole to the black hole around Saturn in Kerbal-sized real solar system, and if you're using the Outer Planets mod with it on the stock system, you can also get it around Saturnus, I think it is, and that brings you straight to the black hole. As you can see, I'm about to burn for the surface. I initially slow down to 500 meters per second. As you can see, yeah, 500. I know it's 600, but it starts with 5, so close enough. As you can see, Jebediah Kerman is happy to be here. To go to the moon the second time, as this is the second solar system. Well, this is the second time I've gone to the moon. Well, it's the fourth flight of this version of my Saturn V, so it's the Jules 5 mission. Jules 4 mission. So I've got one where I just got into orbit around Earth to test out the landing module. The landing module and stuff like that. I also tested out getting to the moon, doing an orbit, did a landing on Jules 3, and I am again landing on Jules 4, so you don't get to see the first time. As you can see, this is my second time. But one stupid thing I added was the science to the side, which sounds good, but one issue with it is it makes the lander lopsided, so when you're going quite fast it flips over, which you can't see because I cut it out multiple times, but it happened in the landing and the ascent where I just flipped over and smashed into the surface. That's why the editing might be a bit choppy, because this is my first time I've actually done something like this. So I'm currently slowing down for a landing, but I'm going to have to change where I am landing because the surface is really, really rocky, which isn't really useful. It's just in my chair, which isn't really useful for trying to land. I know it doesn't really have anything to do with it because it's just parallax, but still, I prefer to do it on a less rocky surface. As you can see, I notice and I'm like, oh crap, and I spin over and I accidentally go too fast, and I realised that's not good either, so I turn back over, go over here, and then I slow down much slower for a nice soft landing at 1.6 meters a second. I will lower down the ladder, and Jebediah Kerman will make his second steps onto the surface of the moon. This is my first time, so As you can see, he's just wandering around. I don't know what mod it is, but it adds footsteps, which I think is quite cool. So we are putting down our flag for the Jaws 4 mission. As you can see, Jaws 4. Oh, yeah, 4. I don't know what I was doing at this point. I'm saying it's the third moon mission. And Ethan's gay. Ethan is one of my best friends, which I have known for 7 years. 8 years, actually. And yeah. So currently, I'm just looking around on the surface, because I do quite like the surface for this mod. And as you can see, Jeb's just having some fun, jumping around. Yeah. Whee! I don't really have to do any experiments, it's not science mode playthrough. And I can just have some fun. I think in my next video I'm going to be working on a space station around Earth, just as a stepping stone towards the moon, and I will have a gateway station like they do in real life to try and make it easier to get to other planets like Mars. And I will eventually try and make a video where I go to Saturn and explore through the black hole, well, the wormhole, which leads to the black hole. And eventually I will see if I'm able to slingshot around that black hole to see if I can explore other star systems, even though I know that might take years, so I might just use the warp drives that I have installed. But it is much nicer just to do it yourself. Yeah, so just Jeb and I are having some fun for like a couple of minutes. It's really interesting how light I managed to make this lander. It doesn't look too bad either. Like, I don't have the making history expansion, because don't tell anyone, but I pirated Kerbal Space Program from my little brother's computer. And I have paid for Kerbal Space Program in the past, so it's not technically stealing. So currently I'm just making sure the capsule is near to where I am launching off of. And as you can see, I accidentally unbuckle because I meant to click C, not Y. I don't know why I accidentally clicked it. But yeah, so I had to do quick save and I didn't edit it that well. That's what I meant by a little bit of choppy editing. And as you can see, I get it a bit closer just to make it a wee bit easier. And I have done some practice on stuff like this. And there you go, flying overhead. And I launch, put myself in, I think that's radial in. And then I go to 125 degrees just to get into a similar orbit and then slow down. You can tell how many times I've done this. Yeah, and I then switch. Well, I slow down to try and get it, but as you can see, because of that issue with the thing, it kind of messes everything up. And so I switched to the capsule, which makes everything a lot easier because it's a lot more stable. And I slow down into a similar trajectory. I speed up towards the target and I go retrograde until I can get into a close by thing. And thank God I had MechJab installed. I think it's MechJab or MechJab. Yeah, MechJab installed to make it a lot easier to dock, because I'm not very good at docking. I can dock on the surface, but not in orbit, which would be a good thing to learn, but MechJab, it's fine. And the Lown laser method doesn't work 100% of the time, occasionally bounces off. so not really the best. So as you can see, I'm trying to find Mecca, but it's in the top right. I go to docking autopilot and autopilot to dock, which makes everything just so much easier. A couple of times when I was testing out my original version of the Saturn V, which is more like a Saturn V, it wasn't a lot of the times I accidentally it spun out, or the RCS just ran out before I could even get close to orbit, which wasn't really too useful. As you can see, I'm using the IVA mod to get back to the surface, well, not to the surface, to my seat in the capsule. As you can see, I'm entering my seat, buckled up, and I undock from the lander. Okay, and now I'm going to be doing my maneuver burn back to Earth, which we need to make sure is perfect, because if it's not perfect and I don't have a lot of fuel, even though it might seem like I do have a bit, I don't really have that much. So what I'm currently doing is I am burning the wrong way, I think. Yeah, definitely. So I go to the other side just to make sure I'm burning in the correct direction, just to make it more fuel efficient, and then I slow down just a little bit just to get into orbit, and there we go. Yeah, when I burn for this, I don't realize that it will give me another encounter with the moon, which is really good because it ended up slowing me down closer to the Earth, which I can't really complain about, as it saves on a lot of fuel. And as we are getting closer to the burn point, we can see how everything is getting a bit easier, nothing really much happening, and as you can see, burn almost complete. I just slow down to save, well, not to save fuel, just to be a little bit more precise, and I say that is fine. And as you can see, I slow down a bit and I get a moon encounter, which is really useful, as I can just save a lot of fuel trying to get back to Earth. I want to make sure I'm trying to land on the light side of Earth just to make the re-entry a bit easier and better. I put drag chutes on this, which make everything take so much longer, which is quite a pain. So as you can see, I'm leaving this SOI of the moon, and as I'm getting close to the maneuver point, you can see that there's the moon encounter, and there we go. We're on our way to re-entry. Since this makes everything so much easier, this is what I'm talking about, the re-entry heating mod. It looks so much better than the stock re-entry. I'm quite proud of the graphics modders in the game when I got them all to work together. Still need to figure out how to get some more interstellar mods, and as we deploy our chutes, we are coming to the end of the Jules 4 mission, our first KSRSS video, where we land on the moon using our Saturn V. Thank you for listening to me ramble for 19 minutes and 56 seconds, and I will see you in the next video, which should be soon.